I'm taking what's mine. Korean Mafia boss claims his ex-wife back in front of her new lover. That ring doesn't belong on her finger. The voice stopped time. I felt my heart skip a painful beat as every head in the five-star restaurant turned toward our table. I knew that voice. I'd spent 5 years trying to forget it. James froze mid-proposal, the diamond still glittering between us. "Excuse me?" he asked, American confidence not yet registering who stood behind him. Sung-ho appeared at our table like a dark apparition, impeccable in his tailored suit. 4 of his men creating a barrier between us and the rest of the dining room. His eyes, those eyes that once knew every secret I had, locked onto mine. "I said," he repeated, each word falling like a stone into still water. "That ring doesn't belong on her finger, because she still wears mine." My hand trembled as I instinctively covered the small tattoo on my ring finger. The one thing I couldn't bring myself to erase. "Do you know who I am?" James stood, oblivious to the danger crackling in the air. Sung-ho's smile never reached his eyes. "The question is, does she know who you are? Does she know you've been investigating my business for months? That your proposal tonight is nothing but a ploy to get closer to me?" The floor seemed to drop beneath me as Sung-ho extended his hand toward me. "I'm taking what's mine, Mia. Tonight. Come home. 5 years of running. 5 years of lying. And now the truth stood before me, offering his hand and demanding everything. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to have your carefully constructed world collapse in seconds, keep watching. The story I'm about to tell you isn't just about love and betrayal. It's about what happens when the past you've been running from finally catches up. James looked between us, confusion battling with growing realization on his face. "Mia, what is he talking about? Who is this man?" My mouth dried. The words stuck in my throat as memories crashed through the walls I'd built to contain them. The first time I met Sung-ho at a fashion exhibition. Our whirlwind courtship. The traditional wedding that made headlines across Seoul. The gradual discovery of exactly what kind of business empire my husband controlled. The night I ran. "She hasn't told you?" Sung-ho's voice remained calm, controlled. Everything about him was controlled, except for the intensity in his eyes when they fixed on me. "I'm Park Sung-ho, her husband, ex-husband." I finally found my voice, though it sounded weak even to my own ears. "We've been divorced for 5 years. Sung-ho's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "A technicality. One I've come to correct." The restaurant manager approached nervously, hovering at the edge of the wall created by Sung-ho's men. "Sir, perhaps we could. Leave us." Sung-ho didn't even look at him. The manager bowed deeply. "Yes, Mr. Park. Of course." He retreated, taking the staff with him, clearing the surrounding tables with efficient whispers. James stood his ground, though I could see the confidence draining from his face as recognition dawned. "Park Sung-ho of Park Enterprises?" Among other things. Sung-ho's attention never left me. "Your American boyfriend seems underprepared, Mia. Didn't your agency brief him properly before sending him to seduce my wife?" "I don't know what you're talking about," James protested. But there was something in his eyes, a flash of guilt that made my stomach turn to ice. "James?" I searched his face, hoping to see confusion, hoping for denial. Instead, he straightened his shoulders in resignation. "This isn't how I wanted you to find out." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. "Find out what?" "He works for the American government," Sung-ho answered for him. "Some agency with too many letters in its name. He's been building a case against my businesses for months." His eyes narrowed. "Using you to get to me. If you can already feel the tension building, this story only gets more intense. Hit that like button now to let me know you're ready for what comes next." "Is that true?" I whispered, though I already knew the answer. James had the decency to look ashamed. "My feelings for you are real, Mia. That part wasn't a lie. But everything else was." My voice hardened as pieces clicked into place. His persistent questions about my past, his interest in my ex-husband, how quickly he'd pursued me after we accidentally met at my fashion show 6 months ago. "You were an assignment." Sung-ho's voice was almost gentle now, which somehow made it worse. A way to gather intelligence on me through someone who once knew my world intimately. The diamond ring still sat in its open box between us, catching the light, mocking me. I've been naive. Again. Did you really think I wouldn't know? Sung-ho asked James, finally turning his attention to the American. Did you think I wouldn't protect what's mine, even from a distance? She's not yours anymore, James said, but his voice lacked conviction. Sung-ho's smile was cold. She has always been mine, even when she ran. His eyes returned to me, softer now. Even when I let her run. The implication stunned me. You knew where I was? All this time. Every day for 5 years. He didn't look away. Every city, every apartment, every fashion show. Did you never wonder why certain doors opened so easily for you? Why your career flourished so quickly after you left? My success, my independent life had been his creation all along? The thought made me dizzy. I gave you the space you needed, he continued, but I never stopped watching. Never stopped protecting what's mine. Why now? I asked, my voice barely audible. Why come for me now after all this time? Because they're getting closer. Sung-ho glanced at James. And I won't let them use you against me. James reached for his phone, but one of Sung-ho's men stepped forward, hand inside his jacket in clear warning. I wouldn't, Sung-ho advised calmly. My patience has limits. Surrounding diners pretended not to watch, but I could feel their eyes, their ears straining to catch every word of the drama unfolding. Seoul's elite witnessing my humiliation, my world crumbling for the second time in my life. Mia, Sung-ho extended his hand again. It's time to come home. And if I refuse? I challenged, some part of me still fighting against the inevitable. Then I'll be forced to dismantle the life you've built piece by piece. No emotion colored his voice. Just simple fact. Starting with your upcoming show at Seoul Fashion Week. One call and your sponsors withdraw. Your models cancel. Your venue becomes unavailable. The collection I'd worked on for months. My chance to establish my brand internationally. He knew exactly where to apply pressure. You wouldn't, but I knew he would. I protected your freedom for 5 years. His eyes held mine. I won't protect it at the cost of your safety. Not anymore. James stepped forward. This is kidnapping. You can't just. It's returning stolen property. Sung-ho cut him off. And you have more pressing concerns. Your agency has been compromised. Your cover is blown. By morning, everyone who matters in Seoul will know your real purpose here. Fear flashed across James' face. You're making a mistake. No, I said quietly, the truth settling over me like a familiar weight. He never makes mistakes. I looked up at Sung-ho, seeing the man I'd fallen for beneath the monster I'd fled from. That's why I left. And that's why you'll always find me. Are you feeling the chemistry beneath their conflict? Comment below if you think she should resist or surrender to their unfinished history. The restaurant had emptied around us, leaving only Sung-ho's men and a few distant staff watching nervously. Outside, I could see his black Maybach waiting, driver standing at attention. One night, I said finally. I'll come with you for one night, to hear what you have to say. Then I decide what happens next. Relief flashed across Sung-ho's features, quickly masked. Acceptable. Mia, don't do this. James reached for me, but I stepped away. Were you ever going to tell me the truth? I asked him. Or was the proposal just part of your cover too? His silence was answer enough. I turned to Sung-ho. I need to get my things from my apartment. Already taken care of. Of course it was. He'd planned everything. He always did. With a final look at James, at the 6 months of lies that had nearly become my future, I placed my hand in Sung-ho's extended one. His fingers closed around mine, warm and familiar, sending unwelcome electricity up my arm. What about him? I nodded toward James as Sung-ho guided me toward the exit. My men will ensure he leaves the country safely. Sung-ho's thumb brushed over the tattoo on my finger. I'm not a monster, Mia. Despite what you may have told yourself these past 5 years. The night air hit my face as we stepped outside, cool against my flushed skin. The restaurant's valet brought Sung-ho's car around, bowing deeply as he opened the door. I hesitated at the threshold of the Maybach. Last time I got into your car, I didn't emerge for 2 years. Something like amusement flickered in Sung-ho's eyes. Last time you got into my car, you were a naive fashion graduate who didn't know what she wanted. His gaze traveled over my face. Now you're one of Seoul's rising designers. A woman who built something from nothing. Pride colored his voice. A woman worthy of standing at my side. I never wanted to stand at your side. I slid into the leather seat, the familiar scent of his car, sandalwood and leather and something uniquely him, washing over me. I wanted to stand on my own. He joined me in the back seat, close enough that I could feel the heat of him, yet careful not to touch me. And now you have proven you can. The door closed, sealing us in privacy as the car pulled away. But sometimes standing alone makes you an easy target. I watched the glittering lights of Seoul pass by the window, the city I'd made my home twice now, first as Sung-ho's wife, then as a woman determined to forge her own path. Why did you let me go? The truth. Silence stretched between us. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. Because you looked at me with fear the night you left. Not anger, not hatred, fear. His eyes remained on the Seoul skyline. I never wanted to see that look again. The admission hit harder than I expected. 5 years ago, I'd convinced myself he'd let me escape because I hadn't mattered enough to chase. That our marriage had been more business arrangement than love. It had been easier than admitting the truth, that I'd fallen in love with a man whose world terrified me. And now, I asked. Now they're using you to get to me. His jaw tightened. And I won't allow that. James is just the beginning. He finally turned to look at me. There are 3 more agents embedded in your life. Your assistant Minji, your fabric supplier, your neighbor across the hall. I felt sick. My entire world, infiltrated, manipulated, designed to extract information about the man I'd left behind. How do you know this? I know everything that happens in Seoul. He didn't say it as a boast. Just fact. Then why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? His eyebrow raised slightly. Or would you have run again? Straight into more dangerous hands than your American boyfriends? The car turned onto a familiar road that wound up into the hills overlooking the city. My heart raced as memories flooded back. Of coming home to this exclusive enclave as a new bride. Of leaving it in the dead of night with nothing but a suitcase and terror. You still live here? I asked, though I knew the answer. Some things don't change. The car passed through heavy security gates that hadn't existed before. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter of what had once been our home. The Maybach stopped before the sprawling modern mansion with its floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist architecture. It looked exactly the same, yet the security presence transformed it from luxury residence to fortress. Things have escalated since you left, Sung-ho said, noting my expression as I took in the armed men, the surveillance. My business interests have expanded. Your criminal empire, you mean? He didn't deny it. The line between legitimate and illegitimate business in Korea has always been thin. You knew that when you married me. I knew you were powerful. I didn't know you were dangerous. The car door opened, and the night air rushed in. Not until it was too late. This story continues to unfold with even more intensity and danger. If you're already feeling the chemistry between these two, hit that bell icon so you don't miss what happens next. Sung-ho exited first, then extended his hand to help me out. I ignored it, climbing out on my own, a small rebellion. If he noticed, he didn't comment. The house's front door opened as we approached, an older woman bowing deeply. Welcome home, Madam Park. The honorific sent a shiver through me. 5 years of building a new identity as Mia Kim, fashion designer, erased in an instant. My things? I asked Sung-ho as we entered the vast foyer with its soaring ceilings and minimalist decor. In the master suite. His eyes held mine. Your suite remains as you left it. An untouched shrine to a failed marriage? The thought was unsettling. I'd prefer a guest room. As you wish. If my rejection bothered him, he didn't show it. Mrs. Han will show you up. I have calls to make regarding your situation. He turned to leave, then paused. We have much to discuss over dinner. 1 hour. Not a request. Some things truly hadn't changed. Mrs. Han, who had been our housekeeper during my marriage, led me up the familiar staircase. It's good to have you home, madam. The house has been too quiet. I'm not staying, Mrs. Han, I said gently, not wanting to be cruel to this woman who had always shown me kindness. Just one night. She gave me a knowing smile that suggested she'd heard such declarations before. Of course, madam. The guest suite she led me to was larger than my entire apartment downtown. My suitcases, which had been in my closet this morning, sat neatly arranged beside a king-sized bed. On the bed lay an evening dress I recognized from my own upcoming collection. A design that hadn't even gone into production yet. How did he get this? I ran my fingers over the midnight blue fabric. Mr. Park has always supported your work, madam, even from a distance. Mrs. Han bowed again. The bathroom is prepared if you wish to refresh yourself before dinner. Left alone, I sank onto the edge of the bed, the reality of my situation finally hitting me. In one evening, I discovered my boyfriend was an undercover agent. My life had been infiltrated by government operatives, and the ex-husband I'd fled from had never truly let me go. Worse, he'd been quietly orchestrating my independent success from the shadows. The bathroom mirror reflected a woman I barely recognized. Pale with shock, eyes wide with too many emotions to name. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to regain my composure. On the marble counter sat my exact skincare products, my preferred brand of makeup. Even my perfume, the custom scent I'd created for myself after leaving him, that no one else should have been able to obtain. I know everything that happens in Seoul. His words echoed in my mind, including everything that happened in my life. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, it sent a confusing mix of anger and something dangerously close to relief through me. I'd never truly escaped him, had never truly been alone. I changed into the dress. My dress, marveling at how perfectly it fit. Of course it would. He'd had it made from my exact measurements. The midnight blue silk draped elegantly over one shoulder, leaving the other bare, the fabric clinging to curves before falling in a fluid line to the floor. A designer's dream brought to life. When I descended the staircase an hour later, Sung-ho waited at the bottom. He changed into a charcoal suit that fit his broad shoulders perfectly, his dark hair slightly damp from a shower. He looked up as I approached, and for a moment, his carefully controlled expression slipped, revealing something raw and hungry in his gaze. "You're wearing it," he said softly. "It was this or my cocktail dress from earlier." I kept my voice cool, professional. "You left me little choice." "You designed it," he countered. "It's exquisite, like its creator." I ignored the compliment. "Dinner? And explanations. That was our agreement." He offered his arm. After a moment's hesitation, I placed my hand on it, careful to maintain distance between our bodies as he led me to the dining room. The space was as I remembered. A glass wall overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. A long table that could seat 20 set intimately for two at one end. Candles flickered, casting warm light over fine china and crystal. "You planned this whole evening," I observed as he held my chair. "James' proposal, your dramatic entrance. All of it choreographed to bring me here." Sung-ho took his seat opposite me. "I planned to intervene tonight, yes. Your boyfriend's proposal was unexpected timing." A hint of displeasure crossed his features. "They're growing desperate." "Who is they exactly?" I asked as a server poured wine I recognized as my favorite vintage. "Various agencies with interest in my business affairs." He lifted his glass. "American, Chinese, Korean NIS. And they think I'm their way in?" After 5 years apart, his eyes met mine over the rim of his glass. "They think you're my weakness, the one vulnerability in my armor." He took a sip before adding, "They're not wrong." The admission hung between us, heavy with implications I wasn't ready to face. Weakness wasn't a word I'd ever associated with Park Sung-ho, the man whose name made hardened businessmen pale, whose reputation kept rival organizations at a respectful distance. I stopped being your weakness the night I left, I said, watching as servers placed the first course before us. Did you? His eyes never left mine. Then explain why I maintained a security detail on you for 5 years. Why I intervened quietly when potential investors tried to take advantage of you. Why your apartment building has more security guards than the Blue House. I set down my fork. I earned my success. Every bit of it, he agreed immediately. Your talent is undeniable. But talent alone doesn't protect against those who would exploit it. Or you. If you're wondering how it feels to discover your independence was an illusion, stay with me. This story gets even more complicated. The dinner progressed with elegant efficiency, each course perfectly prepared and timed, just as our home had always run, with precision that bordered on clinical. In my darkest moments after leaving, I'd convinced myself this mechanical perfection extended to how Sung-ho had viewed our marriage. A business arrangement, efficiently maintained until it no longer served its purpose. Why didn't you remarry? The question escaped before I could stop it. Surprise flickered across his face, a rare slip in his control. Why would I? 5 years is a long time, especially for someone in your position. Don't you need heirs for your empire? Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. I already have a wife. Ex-wife, I corrected automatically. A technicality. He set down his chopsticks. One that hasn't stopped other women from trying, of course. Very determined women with powerful families who would benefit from an alliance. Jealousy, hot and unwelcome, surged through me. And yet you're still single. I'm still married. His gaze held mine. In all the ways that matter. The server cleared our plates, the brief interruption giving me time to gather my composure. When we were alone again, I leaned forward. You promised explanations, Sung-ho, not romantic delusions. Very well. All softness vanished from his expression. 3 international agencies and 2 rival organizations believe you possess information that could destroy me. Information you gathered during our marriage. That's absurd. I knew almost nothing about your business dealings. Almost, he emphasized. But you lived in my home, attended functions with my associates, had access to my private spaces. His eyes narrowed slightly, including my office safe, which you accessed the night you left. My blood ran cold. How did you? The combination was your birthday. Not particularly secure against my own wife. No anger colored his tone. What did you take, Mia? I swallowed hard. Insurance. In case you came after me. I never would have hurt you. For the first time, a crack appeared in his controlled facade. No matter what you believed. I saw what happened to people who betrayed you. You didn't betray me. You left me. His voice softened. There's a difference. The memory of that night flooded back. The business dinner where I'd overheard too much, seen too much. The realization that my husband's empire was built on foundations far darker than I'd allowed myself to acknowledge. The terror that had driven me to crack his safe before fleeing. The flash drive, I said quietly. I took a flash drive. Something like relief crossed his features. And where is it now? Hidden. Somewhere even you can't find it. He nodded slowly. That drive contains enough information to dismantle everything I've built. Financial records, business connections, names. His eyes never left mine. It's why they want you, why James was sent to get close to you. They know you have it, even if they don't know where. The gravity of my situation began to sink in. I wasn't just a way to get to Sung-ho. I possessed something that made me valuable in my own right. Dangerously valuable. If I've had it for 5 years, why come for me now? Because now they're willing to use more persuasive methods than seduction. His jaw tightened. There was an extraction team in place tonight. If I hadn't intervened at the restaurant, you would have been taken. Taken? By whom? Does it matter? American intelligence, Chinese operatives, my competitors, their methods would be the same. His hand clenched around his wine glass. And I would burn this city to the ground to get you back. The quiet intensity in his voice sent a shiver through me. This story only gets more intense from here. If you're feeling the chemistry beneath their conflict, make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss what happens next. Why not just destroy the drive? I asked. Eliminate what they want? Because it's leverage. Your protection. He leaned forward. As long as you possess it, you're more valuable alive than dead to everyone involved, including me. The implication stunned me. You're saying you let me keep it? As some kind of twisted life insurance policy. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. I could have retrieved it at any time in the past 5 years. I chose not to. He studied me carefully. Just as I chose to let you believe you'd escaped me, when we both know there is nowhere in this city, nowhere in this country, you could hide that I couldn't find you. The realization that my freedom had always been an illusion he'd permitted made me dizzy with conflicting emotions. Rage at the manipulation, confusion at his motives, and something darker, something I refused to acknowledge. Why? I whispered. Why maintain the pretense? Why watch over me from a distance instead of just taking back what you believe is yours? Sung-ho was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a vulnerability I'd never heard before. Because I wanted you to choose to come back. The admission hung in the air between us, stripping away the power dynamic, the games, the manipulations. For a moment, he wasn't Park Sung-ho, feared leader of Seoul's underworld. He was simply a man who had lost something precious. And now, I asked, my voice barely audible. Now you're in danger, and I won't risk your safety for my pride. His eyes hardened. Even if it means you hate me for taking away the illusion of choice. I looked away, unable to bear the intensity of his gaze. Through the glass wall, Seoul glittered below us, oblivious to the drama unfolding in this hilltop fortress. My city, his city, the place where I'd found my voice as a designer, where I'd built something I was proud of, something that might have been partially orchestrated from the shadows, but was still mine. What happens now? I asked finally. You stay here, where I can protect you, until we neutralize the threat. And my life? My business? The fashion show that's 2 weeks away, continues under my protection. He gestured to a folder on the sideboard that I hadn't noticed earlier. Your schedule, adjusted for security concerns. Your team thoroughly vetted. Your collection secured against industrial espionage. I opened the folder, finding detailed security protocols alongside my original production schedule. Nothing canceled, just fortified. As if my life could continue exactly as before, just within the protective bubble of Sung-ho's influence. You've thought of everything, I said, unsure whether to be impressed or disturbed. It's what I do. No arrogance in the statement. Simple fact. And us? The question slipped out before I could stop it. His eyes locked on mine. That depends entirely on you. I left for a reason, Sung-ho. You left because you were afraid. He leaned forward. Not of me. Never of me personally. But of my world. Of the power I wield and how I use it. The accuracy of his assessment was unnerving. Your world is built on violence and fear. My world is built on order and respect, he countered. The violence is a means to an end. One I've never hidden from you. You killed a man at a business dinner. The words burst from me. The memory I'd suppressed for years finally spoken aloud. I watched you give the order with the same expression you'd use to order dessert. Something like understanding dawned in his eyes. The night you left, Park Ji-hoon. You had him executed in the private dining room of your own restaurant. My voice shook with the memory, while I sat 10 feet away, pretending not to hear his pleas. He was smuggling young women into the country. Sung-ho's voice hardened. Selling them, using my shipping companies to do it without my knowledge. His eyes never left mine. The authorities wouldn't touch him because of his family connections. Would you have preferred I let him continue? I hadn't known that part, hadn't stayed long enough to ask why, had only seen the cold calculation in my husband's eyes as he'd ordered a man's death, then returned to his meal as if nothing had happened. You should have told me, I whispered. You should have asked. No accusation in his voice, just sadness. Instead, you ran. Left everything behind, including the chance to understand. The weight of 5 years of assumptions, Of fear, of running, pressed down on me. Had I misjudged him? Misjudged us? If you're feeling the tension building between them, comment below if you think there's any coming back from this kind of betrayal. I need air, I said suddenly, standing from the table. Sung-ho rose immediately. The terrace is secure. I followed him through glass doors onto the expansive terrace that wrapped around the second floor of the house. The night air was cool against my flushed skin. The lights of Seoul spread below us like fallen stars. We stood in silence for several minutes. The space between us charged with unspoken words, untaken actions. I missed this view, I admitted finally. From my apartment downtown, I can see your building. Sometimes I'd catch myself looking for your office light at night, wondering if you were working late. He moved slightly closer. It was always on. I slept at the office more than here after you left. The house. He hesitated. It felt empty. I turned to face him, really seeing him for the first time tonight. The subtle changes 5 years had wrought. The strands of silver at his temples that hadn't been there before. The deeper lines around his eyes. The weight of responsibility that seemed to press heavier on his shoulders. You've changed, I said softly. We both have. His eyes traveled over my face. You're stronger now, more confident. The frightened girl who fled in the night is gone. Not entirely gone, I admitted. Just better at hiding her fear. His hand reached up slowly, giving me time to pull away, before his fingers gently touched my cheek. What are you afraid of now, Mia? The warmth of his touch sent electricity through my skin. That I never really knew you. That I still don't. You knew me better than anyone ever has. His thumb brushed over my lower lip, a feather-light touch that awakened memories I'd fought to suppress. You saw parts of me no one else was allowed to see. The parts you chose to show me. All of me, he insisted quietly. The businessman, the leader, the husband who worshipped every inch of you. His eyes darkened. The monster who would destroy anyone who tried to take you from me. His honesty was disarming. No pretense, no manipulation. Just truth laid bare between us. I left of my own free will, I reminded him. And I let you go, he countered. When I could have found you within hours. When every instinct demanded I bring you back. His hand dropped from my face. Because your fear hurt more than your absence. The revelation stole my breath. The mighty Park Sung-ho, who ruled Seoul's underworld with an iron fist, had been wounded by nothing more than the look in my eyes. And now, I whispered, what do you see when you look at me? His eyes searched mine. Confusion, anger, betrayal. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. But not fear. Not anymore. He was right. Standing here with the man I'd fled from, whose world had terrified me, I felt many things, but fear of him wasn't among them. Before I could respond, the door to the terrace slid open. One of Sung-ho's security team appeared, his expression grave. Sir, there's a situation. Sung-ho's posture changed instantly, the vulnerable man replaced by the commanding leader. What kind? Perimeter breach at the west entrance. 3 vehicles approaching with diplomatic plates. My heart raced. James? Not just him. Sung-ho turned to me, all softness gone from his expression. It seems your American boyfriend didn't appreciate being outmaneuvered. He took my arm, guiding me inside with urgent purpose. We need to move you to the secure room. Sung-ho, wait. I pulled back. Maybe I should talk to them. Explain that I came willingly. His laugh held no humor. You think this is about your consent? This is about the drive. About what you know. His grip tightened. They'll take you into protective custody and extract everything you know about me. By any means necessary. Fear, not of Sung-ho but of the situation unfolding, surged through me. What do? We get you somewhere safe. He led me quickly through the house to his office. A space I'd avoided during our marriage, where the line between legitimate businessman and underworld leader disappeared. He pressed his hand to a hidden panel, revealing a state-of-the-art safe room behind his bookcase. In. Now. Not without you, I said, surprising myself with the fierceness of my response. Something like pride flickered in his eyes. I need to handle this. Remind certain people of the consequences of trespassing on my property. He reached inside his jacket, removing a handgun I hadn't realized he was carrying. This is for emergencies only. Do you remember how to use it? I took the weapon, the weight familiar from the lessons he'd insisted on during our marriage. Yes. Good. He pressed a swift, hard kiss to my forehead. When this is over, we finish our conversation. All cards on the table. No more running, no more half-truths. Before I could respond, security alerts blared through the house. Sung-ho's expression hardened. Stay here. Stay silent. No matter what you hear. He stepped back as the hidden door began to close. And Mia? If I don't return, there's a passage through the back of the safe room. It leads to a garage with a car programmed for a secure location. The drive is with me, I admitted, touching the locket around my neck. Always has been. Understanding and something else. Respect? Crossed his features just before the door sealed, leaving me alone in the fortified space with nothing but security monitors showing the drama unfolding outside. I watched as government vehicles surrounded the house, as men in tactical gear took positions. As James emerged from the lead car, accompanied by another man in a suit who carried himself with unmistakable authority, and I watched as Sung-ho walked out to meet them, unarmed, perfectly composed in his bespoke suit, looking for all the world like a businessman interrupted at home rather than a criminal kingpin facing down a government raid. Through the monitor's audio, I heard James call out, "Park Sung-ho, we are here for Mia Kim. Hand her over and this doesn't have to get complicated." Sung-ho's laugh carried clearly through the speakers. You're standing on my property with armed men trying to take my wife, and you think this isn't already complicated? Your American arrogance is showing, Mr. Bennett. The man beside James stepped forward. Mr. Park, I am Assistant Director Reynolds with. I know exactly who you are. Sung-ho cut him off. Just as I know you have no jurisdiction here, no legal authority, no grounds to demand anything from me. We have reason to believe Ms. Kim is being held against her will. Then you have reason to be mistaken. Sung-ho's voice remained calm, controlled, even as his men took defensive positions around the property. My wife returned home willingly after discovering your agent's deception. Your ex-wife, James corrected, stepping forward. And she has information critical to national security. She has information critical to my security, Sung-ho countered, which makes it mine. My heart pounded as I watched the standoff, understanding for the first time the precarious position I occupied, caught between powerful forces, each seeing me as a means to an end, each willing to go to extraordinary lengths to possess what I knew. What would happen when they discovered the drive had been hanging around my neck all along? That the encryption key was the date of my wedding to Sung-ho, a combination of our birth dates that no intelligence agency would think to try? Reynolds stepped closer to Sung-ho. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Your choice. Sung-ho smiled. The cold, dangerous smile I remembered from the night I'd fled. You misunderstand the situation, Assistant Director. You're not offering me choices. I'm granting you one. Leave now while you still can. You're threatening a federal agent? I'm educating one. Sung-ho glanced at his watch. In approximately 30 seconds, this conversation becomes very public. Every major news outlet in Korea will receive footage of American agents illegally raiding the home of one of Seoul's most prominent businessmen. The diplomatic fallout will end careers, including yours. Reynolds' expression faltered. You're bluffing. 15 seconds, Sung-ho replied calmly. I watched in disbelief as uncertainty spread through the government team, as Reynolds consulted hurriedly with colleagues, as James looked increasingly desperate. This isn't over, Park, Reynolds finally said, signaling his men to stand down. On the contrary, Sung-ho replied, it's very much over. My wife stays with me. You leave Korea on the next flight, and we all pretend this regrettable overreach never happened. He smiled politely, unless you'd prefer the alternative. As the vehicles began to retreat, I sank down against the wall of the safe room, the gun heavy in my lap, my mind spinning with revelations. Sung-ho had outmaneuvered them completely, had calculated every move, anticipated every reaction, just as he'd always done, just as he'd done with me for 5 years. The question wasn't whether I could ever escape Park Sung-ho. The question was whether I still wanted to. The safe room door slid open 10 minutes later, revealing Sung-ho, composed, victorious, his tie still perfectly straight. His eyes found mine immediately, relief washing over his features when he saw me unharmed. "They're gone?" I asked, setting aside the gun. "For now." He extended his hand. "But they'll try again. Through official channels next time." I placed my hand in his, allowing him to help me up. "What happens now?" His fingers closed around mine, warm and secure. "Now we finish our conversation. All cards on the table as promised." "And then what?" His eyes met mine, more open, more vulnerable than I'd ever seen them. "Then you decide, Mia. Stay or go. My wife or my ex-wife." But this time with the full truth between us. I touched the locket containing the drive that had been my insurance policy, my protection, my chain to a past I'd tried to escape. "The full truth," I agreed. "No more secrets. No more running." His thumb brushed over the tattoo on my finger, the mark I'd kept even when I discarded his name. "No more running," he echoed softly. For the first time in 5 years, I felt the walls I'd built around my heart begin to crumble. The man before me wasn't the monster I'd convinced myself he was, nor was he the perfect husband I'd initially believed. He was something far more complex, dangerous and protective, ruthless and tender, a man whose moral code operated in shades of gray I was only beginning to understand. "I'm taking what's mine," he declared in that restaurant hours ago. But as his eyes held mine now, I realized the truth was far more complicated. He didn't want to take me. He wanted me to choose him, this time with my eyes fully open to his world. The question was, now that I could see clearly, would I still run? Or would I reclaim what had, perhaps, been mine all along? If you want to know what choice Mia makes, and the dangerous consequences that follow, find the full novel with the link in my description. One click now to continue their story and discover if love can survive in the shadows of Seoul's most dangerous world.